Okay, we've had a request for how to adjust our drawers. And we're going to separate the drawer adjustments from the door adjustments. That will be the door adjustments will be a separate video. So here's a standard 21-inch 3-drawer base cabinet. And if you look at it without really staring at it and getting out your micrometer, it's pretty lined up. I mean, there's even spacing between the drawers. There's even spacing left to right. I mean, it's what I call close enough. I mean, you'll drive yourself crazy if you try to get it exactly perfect, but I mean, it's pretty good, right? Okay, so the question is, how do we get here? Well, that's why we're making the video. We have found 3 situations when adjusting these drawers. You can either be too high, too low, or just right. And I didn't do the math and see which is which, but we're going to show you each example. And what I'm getting at here is that the vertical adjustment for the drawer, the top to the bottom, the top to the bottom, the top to the bottom, this is the most critical first adjustment you make because, Sandy, bring the camera over here, because when you're assembling the cabinets, what are you doing? You're setting the rails right on the face frame, right? You just set them down. So here they are. The rails are on the face frame, and you see 2 screws holding them in place. And this is very adequate, and it works. And it just so happens that this particular drawer, based on the weight of what's in the drawer, you know, it could be plastic bags versus, you know, a service of silverware for 16. The drawer is going to weigh differently. It's going to affect the glides a little differently. But in this particular setup, we have a perfect alignment north to south, vertically, up and down. Set the glide posts right on the face frame. Put your screws in. No issues. I wish that was the way it was all the time, but the reality is it is not. But that's not a problem. We can overcome that. So what are the other 2 situations? Well, let's take you over to the other cabinet we've prepped. This is a situation where the cabinet, when placed, the glide rail, when placed on the top face frame, was too high. And how do I know it was too high? Because up here, the cabinet was the drawer top was way too high to the face frame. So the only way to make a vertical adjustment is to lower or raise this rail. In this case, we had to lower it. And if you can see, the brown next to the white and next to the gray is the actual wood of the cabinet. I took a pencil, traced out where this rail hit the faceplate, and then very carefully with the proper tools, and I'm not going to mention what I used necessarily because everyone will have their own way of doing this. You can use a chisel, you could use a file, you could use, if you're careful enough, you could use a sharp screwdriver, putty knife, a razor blade. I'm not going to tell you how I did it because, again, you can find your own potential method. But I will say that a chisel set is a nice thing to have. So I basically had to remove about as much wood as the thickness of the rail. Now I know it's hard to see on camera, but this rail is actually sitting flush with the face frame, not elevated above the face frame. And you can see I put the 2 screws in, bingo bang, and that's fine because the weight of this rail is being held by the face frame. Now let's take a look at the other side. Same thing. And what do you have here? Well, this one had to be lowered, even lower. I mean, I'm sub the face frame here. Sub the face frame. In fact, I'm so low, I had to chip out some of this face frame because the drawer glide receiver, whatever that piece is technically called, was hitting this when it was going in. So when this drawer rail would come out, it would hit that face frame. And then there's a piece of the glide that was hitting it. So I had to actually notch this out. Again, it rests on the face frame, even though I've had to take some of the face frame away. And you see a single screw there. Now, why don't I have a second screw there? I'm going to tell you. Sandy, change your angle so you can see. Okay, so now we're going to take a pause and I'm going to tell you how you set these up initially. You set the glides on the face frame, you put one screw in. You put the other screw in on the other side, and you put your drawer in and you see what happens. If you have to go up or down, you don't want to have two screw holes you have to redo. You just want to be able to move, and replace the one screw. So in this case, what you see there, it's kind of hard. I'll try to point it out a little bit better. Hold on. What you see here is the remnants of a toothpick, because I had a hole there, but that hole is now in the wrong place because I had to move the frame. I was going up and down and whatever until I could get it exactly where I wanted. So I had to fill that hole in with a toothpick. That's the old toothpick trick. So you take a toothpick and you take it into the hole and you break it off, and that takes up the space that screw took off. Now, what I'm going to do live for you on camera is I'm going to drill another hole right there, if you can see that, and I'm going to put the second screw in, and that second screw is going to create another hole, right? But the toothpick, the jammed in toothpick, will help take up the void in the space so that it doesn't become a big hole that the screw can't fill. So I'm simply going to take my pilot drill and I'm going to do a little starter hole. All I need, and I can just use the regular screw that came with the hinge. And we're just going to put it in, and this is going to solidify this side. Okay, so now I have two screws in both sides. It's resting on the frame, and we're going to put the drawer back in, and we're going to show you that it's lined up the way it needs to be. Okay, but before we do that, I want to show you something that I do on all of my drawers. So let's start with this one, Sandy. So we've taken the contents out of this drawer, somewhat out of this drawer, and if you're looking down, you see two screw heads here. These are the I think they're called pan head, where they're curved not curved, but shaped kind of like a funnel, so that you can recess them into the wood. Now remember, the bottom of this drawer is 1/4 inch. And the way you're supposed to really do this, or the way it's recommended from the, out of the box, is that you take your screws. Sandy, come back over here. You take your screw, and you're putting a screw in here, you're putting a screw in here, and then you're putting a screw in here. But my problem, long term with this, is that this screw into this piece of wood is not going to be as solid as a bolt going through with a nut on it. So I drilled through this piece of wood. I don't know what the diameter of this is, 1/8 inch maybe, could be 1/4 inch. Found out what the measurement was, bought the right size pan head screw, put it through, tightened the nut around it. So now this thing is not going to do any movement on me. It's not going to come loose over time because that screw does not have enough to grab onto, in my opinion. It's better to be more solid. And the good news is, no one even knows it's there, because look, here's your two pan head screws. This is the liner for the shelf, and then these are all the things we keep in the shelf. So when these get all placed back in their appropriate places, I can't remember where they all go, to tell you the truth.
Just not for now.
So they all go in here somehow. I don't know how exactly, but however it is, when they go back in here and the drawer closes, do you know that I don't have a screw into that situation, and instead I have a nut and a bolt? Of course you don't know. It's under the liner, and even if it wasn't under the liner, it's flush. It's flush with the bottom of the drawer, because I use the same type of countersink that I showed you in my other videos. So this is countersunk. You could, even if you don't use a drawer liner, this is not gonna. It's countersunk. That's all I can say. Okay, so just a little something before we move on. Okay, so now the worst of the situations, I believe, is when your drawer is too low and you've got to raise the glides up. Okay, that's a new situation. So let me show you this one we've removed over here. And again, it could be based on a lot of different things, but sometimes I think it's just the weight of the actual drawer. Okay, so what do I have here? Now I have the glide above the face frame, okay? And because of where the glide sits, there's no way to get it to rest on this face frame. So I had to use my old friend, the popsicle stick, and build up the exact level that I wanted. And even then, I was between popsicle sticks, and I had to use a couple pieces of construction or poster board to get that right level. And then you'll notice, if you pan over to look at that screw, that's a different screw than the ones that comes with the glides. And let me show you that real fast. Sandy, you just stay there. Here is a look at the screw that you would normally use. And then this is the screw that I used, which is about a 1-inch drywall screw. And you can see how much bigger it is. And the problem now is, or so much not the problem, but the solution is, this thing now has to carry more of the weight because it's not resting on the frame. Now, I'll leave the popsicle sticks here because A, nobody sees them, and B, why take them out? I mean, it doesn't matter, right? No one sees them. So I'm now, and you can also see, look, our old friend, the toothpicks, because I had to fill not only one hole on this one, 2 holes. Just as you make a hole and you have to change it, fill it. And now I'm going to drill, I won't do it on this video, but I'm going to drill 2 new holes right where I need them, regardless of wherever the toothpicks are, and I'm going to fill that hole. And on the other side, you can see the same thing. And if you look close enough, you can see where the popsicle stick is at the lower end. Let me see if I can get my pointer again, my famous pointer. The popsicle stick that I had to push in and break off is right here. Right there. Toothpick, sorry, yeah, toothpick. So I'll put a hole right here, and with that toothpick taking up that space, it won't compromise the strength of this faceplate. So I'm going to drill another hole right here. And you can see I'm off this depth by about the thickness of a popsicle stick. But I can't build it up from here. I've got to build it up from the base. So really I'm up 4 popsicle sticks and 2 pieces of construction paper or poster board. But it doesn't matter, because once I slide the drawer back in, which I'll do for you live and on camera, once I slide the drawer back in, it'll be perfectly aligned the way it's supposed to be. And now here's, by the way, what we keep in this drawer. Not that it's a whole lot of weight, but a couple pans, some racks, some rolling pins, whatever. So, I don't know, 20 pounds, 25 pounds. Put it on the glides, set it down. Now usually I get Sandy to help me with this, so I may have to turn the camera off. Let me see if I can do this by myself. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Okay, that one's in. That one's in. Okay, now, here we go. This has already been adjusted. And boom. Can you live with that? I can. I can live with that. It's in. I got pretty good spacing here. There you go. I mean, it always seems to take one roll to get it to go all the way in. Like you have to reset the spring or something. There you go. See, look, I'm okay with this. I am totally okay with this setup. All right. So a little bit of recap. You're going to use probably popsicle sticks, toothpicks, 2 types of screws. Now, could you use just this regular screw? Probably, but look, again, what do these cost? A couple cents a piece to buy some 1-inch drywall screws. They're a little bit deeper. They're still thin, but they give more security to the rail. You know, get your toothpicks handy. Oh, all right, okay, so I got a little confused. Okay, so that's the vertical adjustment, which is far more difficult than the left and right adjustment and the front to back adjustment. Okay, left to right adjustment is pretty basic. We can show you this drawer. Again, there are a couple of different styles of these, but you'll find the one that's yours. And here's it's even got arrows right there. It even shows you left, right, left, whatever. watch the piece. So when I move the wheel, you see it moving left, right, or side to side, however you want to call it. Same difference, right? It moves. So we set them in the middle and hope for the best. If it needs to be adjusted, we adjust it. Now, Sandy actually did this one here. If you pan down, she took this one out of alignment purposely. We like the vertical height, right? We like the vertical height, but look, we're way out of alignment here. I mean, noticeably out of alignment. So pull the drawer out, and Sandy, remember which way you moved it? She's gonna do it from memory maybe. She's gonna adjust the drawer, and it's just trial and error until you find where you want it. She's making adjustments on the little wheel that I just showed you, same exact setup. Push the drawer in. Looks like, yeah, I mean, you may have gone a little too far, but it's pretty darn close. That's pretty darn close. And you can see it was visually way out of alignment. Now it's much better. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put this drawer back in to show you the benefit of having what we did there. Hold on, I gotta go get it. All right. This drawer doesn't weigh quite as much as the silverware drawer. It's kind of our overflow drawer, knives and miscellaneouses and whatever. Okay, so it's on. Now we're going to push in. Okay, again, reset. Sometimes you have to come all the way out to reset. Okay. Now again, Sandy, look at the camera. I mean, that's no more fine tuning. And you know they're always going to adjust and move a slight little bit when you pull them out. But I mean, can you live with that? I can. I can live with that. And look, can you see any of the boogering I had to do with the face frame? Not a clue. Not in your wildest dreams. Can you even see? You'd have to, not even underneath it can you see the modifications I made on this top rail. They're just not visible. So don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. It's not a big deal. What?
I said just go slow.
Oh yeah. Just go slow. Yeah, that's a good point. When you're making your initial trial, don't just assume it's going to be good and shove the drawer in. Go very slow because, for example, when we were doing this one, it was so bad, we had to use a shim to keep the drawer from hitting the bottom of the rail until I had it adjusted. So just when you first line up a drawer, the very first time you go in, just go slow.
I meant when you're chiseling out the wood.
Oh well, that's too. Yeah, and when you're chiseling or sanding or grinding or filing, little is better. Little bit until you get it. Worst case scenario, you take too much and you got to build it up again. Much easier to take little until you get to the perfect point. Okay, and there's one more thing we want to show you on this video, and it's the front to back adjustment. Yeah. Now on our inset cabinets, these front to back measures don't work because there's nothing for them to hit. So these may work with your cabinets, but they don't work with our inset cabinets. So there's this bumper here. You obviously want to remember to put the bumper on, but we use the bumper to make our final adjustments for in and out or back and forward. So for an example, this is the one we fixed?
Yes.
Okay, so we fixed this one, and I know you can't see this, but this is as smooth as you could probably get it, with the faceplate and the drawer being on the same plane. I mean, they're level, they're lined up, right? Mm-hmm. So let's pull this out and take a look. And you say, well, how can this be? Your bumper's sticking out. I don't know. Probably, again, I love these popsicle sticks because everyone's can figure it out. It's about the width of a popsicle stick. My bumper is sticking out about the width of a popsicle stick. On the other side, the bumper is completely flat to the face of the drawer, so I have had to pull this one out. So there are two things here. If the bumpers, because they kind of screw into place, if it's nice and tight, then you just unscrew it a little bit. If it's loose, like this one is, see how easily I pulled that out? It's an easy fix. Little tissue paper, a toothpick, and you can see, this is how much I had to pull off of the tissue paper. I don't know if can you see that or not? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's this little corner here had to be torn off, and I did it in 3 measures. I did 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 pieces. I balled it up, kind of made it flat. I pushed it in with the stick. I got it in there. Now, I take the bumper, I put it in, and I'm going to put a little piece of glue down there, just Elmer's, just something easy so that we don't want this bumper to fall off, right? I mean, if we did, no big deal, we'd pick it up. But we don't want it to fall off, so I'll put a little glue on that. It sticks out just a little bit, but that's not a big deal because watch, when I go into the drawer, that bumper stops it exactly where I need it to be stopped. and I'm flush. So it's all just about a tweak and getting it as close as you can get it. Now, when you take this drawer and you look at it, this bumper, if I'm not mistaken, is a lot tighter than the other one. So you can kind of untwist it a little bit. You can untwist it, and it still holds in pretty good. And then when you close the drawer, it pushes it out all that little bit. And if you find that the bumper keeps going in, then just put a little tissue paper or toilet paper down in there. And again, if you want to be super sure, then put a little drop of Elmer's glue or something on that so that it doesn't just all fly out and go away on a, whatever, over the course of 6 months or something. I don't know. But point is, that's how you adjust the in and the out on these Inset cabinets, is where the bumper is. Now, once we forgot to put the bumpers on, we pushed the cabinet in and it was way too far in. And we said, oh my gosh.
Far enough.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out. This is just, we'll come back and even though our kitchen is 90% finished, we haven't adjusted every single little thing. We still, Sandy, if you want to pan around. Look, this is just me showing you the reality of living in a kitchen and working on a kitchen at the same time. So we're pretty solid with what we've done, but you can see there's some skins yet to go on. We've got some painting to do. Baseboards aren't on yet. But we're tweaking little things. We're learning little things as we go. Popsicle sticks, toothpicks, tissue paper, these longer screws, all important to make these little final adjustments. So I hope I've covered enough of the basics to give you the confidence to tackle this situation. But hey, if it was a perfect world, every time you did this, it'd work 100%. It just doesn't. I don't know if sometimes those are off by a millimeter. The weight of the drawer can make a difference with what's in it. Like here, this is the thing with all these pots and pans. You don't think this drawer weighs more, or this drawer weighs more than what's in this drawer here? Sure it does. It puts more pressure on the hinges, and so the drawer lowers. Okay, fine. We just raise it. And once we figure it out, and that's another point. You don't have to adjust these drawers the day after you install them. Put your stuff in it. Use them for a week or two, and then make your adjustments. You don't have to. We might decide we don't want those pans there, and we want to move them somewhere else. And now we've adjusted a drawer for all that weight, and now we've got to readjust it, which you can do. You can do it, but live with it a little bit. Figure it out. And discover what works for you. So I'm just going to put this last drawer back in. If you were all like this, I wouldn't be making the video, right? So here, this is kind of our miscellaneous junk drawer. Little bamboo separators. Amazon specials, I think. Yeah, I think so.
No, it's actually Walmart.
We did a Walmart for these?
Yeah.
Okay, Walmart specials. Okay, there you go. Okay, so there you go.
Amazons weren't long enough for the drawer.
Oh yeah. The ones on Amazon apparently were the spring was stretching too far. So obviously get them as far as you can. And I even put a little double-sided tape just to kind of keep them from wiggling. And again, put the liner down first. Again, you don't know it, but I've got the piece under there with the bolt. Then go bang. So again, still needs a little bit of a micro adjustment, but it's close enough for now. It looks pretty good. On a rainy day, I'll do a tweak here and there, but and that's another thing. I have to imagine that after 3 months or 6 months or a year, these things are going to move, and you just have to adjust them. You just make a little micro adjustment. When it gets out of alignment and you notice it's out of alignment and it bugs you, then just adjust it. If it doesn't bother you, then don't worry about it. This one looks like it needs to be adjusted just a little bit to the left and right. But right now it's close enough. Again, we're still in process here. We're not finished, but it's close enough that we can use it without damaging anything, and we're okay with that. Thanks again to Rich for all his support. He's always been there when we needed him. Take care. Thanks, Sandy.